Hello, good morning, and welcome to another exciting week where we talk about business. It is Business 360, and my name is Blyden Okem. In Business 360 this week, we'll look at some of the biggest stories in the world of business. The expected data to be released this week, and we begin from there. The United States, the main focus will be on the FOMC meeting minutes, followed by durable goods orders, S&P Global Services, and manufacturing PMIs, along with existing and new home sales. As the earnings season nears its close, noteworthy reports are expected from the Agilent, Zoom, Nvidia, Lowe's, Analog, Dell, Autodesk, HP, Dollar Tree, Best Buy, and Dairy and Company. Internationally, preliminary manufacturing and services PMIs will surface for Australia, France, Germany, the Euro area, the United Kingdom, and Japan. Moreover, interest rate decisions are slated for Turkey, Sweden, Indonesia, and South Africa, while inflation rates will be scrutinized in Canada, Japan, South Africa, and other African countries. Finally, Germany will publish the Info Business Climate this week. On the foreign scene, the ex-boss of leading artificial intelligence firm OpenAI has posted a photo of himself at its headquarters, following reports he's set to return after being sacked on Friday. Writings on X, formerly Twitter, Sam Altman is pictured holding a guest ID pass and comments, I quote, "First and last time I ever wear one of these." The 38-year-old helped launch the firm, which created the popular ChatGPT bots. On Friday, the board dismissed Mr. Altman, saying it had lost confidence in him. Reports, however, have suggested investors and employees are pushing for Mr. Altman to be reinstated. Let's talk about Elon Musk's Starship. Elon Musk's Starship successfully took off a little after 7 a.m. from SpaceX's Starbase launch facility in Boca Chica, Texas, riding atop its massive Super Heavy booster. However, the Starship spacecraft exploded during its second major test flight on Saturday, but achieved new milestones that advance Elon Musk's crucial deep space launch and its system. SpaceX officials said it appears the ship's self-destruct system blew it up over the Gulf of Mexico. Minutes earlier, the separated booster had exploded over the Gulf. The rocket appeared to burst apart on an X live stream. That's the state of things regarding the Starship. 31 premature babies were safely transferred from Gaza's main hospital to another in South on Sunday, and will be moved to Egypt today, according to health officials. Let's find out more.
العدد الأولي كان 39 طفل خداج، فقدنا منهم للأسف لأنهم في ظروف غير صحية، فقدنا منهم 8 وبقي 31 تم إخلاءهم اليوم هذه اللحظة إلى مستشفى تل السلطان برفح، سيتم إخلاءهم إلى جمهورية مصر العربية صباح الغد.
The effects of the war quite concerning. Difficult situation in Gaza. In Africa, according to Russia's agriculture minister, Moscow has started sending free grain supplies to 6 African nations, up to 200,000 tons, as President Vladimir Putin had pledged in July. Dmitry Putrichev stated in a telegram statement that ships bound for Somalia and Burkina Faso had already departed Russia's port, and that more cargo was on its way to Eritrea, Zimbabwe, Mali, and the Central African Republic. At a conference with African leaders in July, just after Moscow withdrew from an agreement that had enabled Ukraine to ship grains from its Black Sea ports despite the conflict with Russia, Putin had offered to give free food to 6 countries in Africa. The agreement, dubbed the Black Sea Grain Initiative, has assisted in bringing down prices of world market. However, Putin contended that it was not delivering supplies to the nations that needed them the most. Putin claims that Russia exported almost 60 million tons of grain last year. Meanwhile, the United Nations chief, Antonio Guterres, referred to the pledges of free grain as a handful of donations. In East Africa, East African family-run enterprises have not prioritized research and innovation in order to assist them in recovering from the economic constraints posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the most recent PricewaterhouseCoopers study, only 12% of East African family businesses prioritize research and innovation. Just 46% of surveyed family-owned firms in the region claim to possess strong digital skill. In South Africa, Eskom Holdings SOC Limited plans to allocate a portion of its $12.5 billion multilateral loans to deliver power to areas where grid congestion is hindering the transition of renewable sources, as revealed by the newly appointed electricity minister. South African electricity minister Kosianshu Romakopa stressed that expanding the nation's transmission grid is vital in halting power cuts and is crucial in bringing online renewable projects. South Africa requires an estimated 390 billion rand, an equivalent of $21.3 billion, to enhance its transmission capacity and link renewable energy projects. Now in Nigeria, the crisis rocking the oil and gas transport industry members has taken another dimension as the Petroleum Tanker Drivers (PTD), an arm of the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, on Sunday threatened to pull out of NUPENG. PTD declared it would pull out of the oil union if NUPENG's national president, William Okparaha, and the General Secretary, Olawale Afolabi, failed to resign. The tanker drivers disclosed this in a statement issued in Abuja and jointly signed by Benga Olawale and Adekunle Rufai of PTD Ibadan Depot. To this effect, they said he lacked the capacity to be president of NUPENG. They further alleged that he planted all his surrogates to collect all revenue of the union and use it for themselves. The tanker drivers therefore stated that they had decided to stand with Lucky Osusan and Dayab Garaga, who had laid their lives to ensure that they were liberated. More than 60% of venture capital (VC) funding for Nigerian startups originates from the United States, according to Consul General Will Stevens. According to him, 80% of Nigerian startups are formally incorporated in the United States. These insights were shared during his keynote address at the Global Tech Africa conference conducted in Lagos. He added that the United States accounted for over 40% of Africa's VC funding in 2022, injecting over $2 billion into various local startups across the continent. Despite a decline in venture capital funding this year, he noted that prominent U.S. investors such as Techstars, Y Combinator, and 500 have successfully concluded over 100 significant deals in the first 9 months of the year. He stressed that the numbers indicate that the U.S. has a strong interest in supporting the growth of digital economies of the continent and Nigeria. Still in Nigeria, no fewer than 18 state governments recorded significant foreign exchange revaluation profits worth 71.59 billion naira in 3 months. This was according to data obtained from the third quarter budget implementation report for July to September on each state's website. The extraordinary profit are against the backdrop of foreign exchange revaluation gains arising from the depreciation of the naira, which currently sells at compared to its 2022 closing rates of 461 naira 50 kobo per dollar. Although there are 36 states in Nigeria, Ekiti, Anambra, Rivers, Lagos, and others, making a total of 23 subnationals that are yet to disclose their earnings in the third quarter of 2023 report. The figure so far this year, looking at the new earnings, was limited to 13 out of 36 states in the country. Among the 13 states, Akwa Ibom had the highest earnings at 10.2 billion naira, followed by Jigawa 7.23 billion naira and Imo State 6.26 billion naira. Meanwhile, the federal government says Sun Africa LCC has pledged $2.2 billion to develop Nigeria's power sector. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, disclosed this after a meeting with representatives of the Sun Africa, led by its chairman, Goran Rasik, according to a statement issued in Abuja on Sunday by the Federal Ministry of Power. The statement said the firm would support the federal government in providing vital power infrastructure for Nigeria, adding that the commitment had been formalized. The project's initial phase will focus on delivering 961 megawatt peak of solar PV infrastructure and 455 megawatt hour of battery energy storage, valued at approximately $2.2 billion. Finally, from the Nigerian point of view, rice consumption in the country has been under steady rise beyond the reach of local supply, leading to a supply gap of about 2 million metric tons annually, according to the AFEX wet season crop production report for 2023. This has led to an over 37% increase in the price of a commodity so far in 2023. This has led to a supply gap of about 2 million metric tons annually. Looking at the context of this so far, Nigeria has spent over $15 billion in the past decade to meet its expanding rice consumption, despite its potential to be a net rice exporter. Globally, rice prices reached the highest point in nearly 12 years in 2023, primarily due to India's ban on rice exports and the potential impact of El Nino weather condition on production in key regions. These factors, along with rain-induced disruption and variation in the quality during Vietnam's summer-autumn harvest, have further contributed to the price surge. We'll go on a short break. When we return, Business 360 continues, and we'll be looking at global economic statistics. Don't go anywhere.
They're all born and raised right here in Wilmer, Minnesota, which is our Genio corporate headquarters. And so obviously we've got a tremendous team here who do this every day. The birds will be right around 42 pounds when they're presented to the president. We've been intently raising them and getting them acclimated to some different things that they're probably not quite used to, whether that's sounds and noises and things like that. The Willard has been kind enough to host us, and so we obviously have a large contingency that will be there, those that are helping us with the animals included. It's such a historic hotel. It's really close to the White House. The birds have their own executive suite, so they actually stay in their own room, and to have the Willard Intercontinental accommodate that for us it couldn't be more perfect. Delivering a bird that we've raised for the president to enjoy with his family is one thing, but another is to really celebrate the birds, celebrate animal agriculture, which is so important to our economy, of course. And I just think it's a pivotal shift that allows us to celebrate those that do really, really hard work each and every day and uplift and honor them. You know, this has gone on through 14 administrations. Mm-hmm. And I've seen some of the historic pictures.
Welcome back. It is Business 360, and my name is Blyden Okem. Now to global economic standings, beginning with Moody's credit rating of Italy. Moody's credit rating agency reaffirmed Italy's credit rating at Baa3 on November 17th and upgraded the outlook to stable from negative, citing its significant economic strength. The decision to change the outlook to stable from negative reflects a stabilization of prospects for the country's economic strength, the health of its banking sector, and the government's debt dynamics. The agency further stated that its decision to uphold Italy's credit rating at Baa3 above junk status is backed by its significant economic strength, including its robust manufacturing sector, high household wealth, and the low indebtedness of the private sector. Standard & Poor's credit rating for Italy stands at BBB with a stable outlook. Meanwhile, Fitch's credit rating for Italy was last reported at BBB with a stable outlook. Now to the markets. WTI crude futures strengthened above $76 per barrel today, extending gains from the previous session as investors look ahead to an OPEC Plus meeting over the weekend, where the group is expected to deepen supply cuts to support oil prices. On Friday, crude prices jumped about 4% after OPEC Plus gave reports it is considering whether to make additional supply cuts when it meets on November 26. Analysts also expect Saudi Arabia and Russia to roll over additional voluntary cuts into early next year. Still, oil prices remain down about 20% from September's high amid signs of robust supplies, and as the war risk premium generated by the Israel-Hamas conflict faded away. Latest data pointed to surging crude oil inventories in the U.S., while Russia recently lifted a ban on gasoline exports. Let's move to the market and see what the prices are this morning for the commodities. The market, beginning with energy market and afterwards the metals and agricultural commodities. The energy market. The energy market indicates the price of crude oil, which is the U.S. crude, West Texas Intermediate crude at $76 per barrel, upward 0.517 points, a 0.68% appreciation. Brent, which is Nigeria's price benchmark, current price level is $81 per barrel, gaining 0.471 points. Now to the metals. The price of gold for the metal market is downward this morning, 1.65 points decline, a negative 0.08% drop. $1,978 per ounce is the price of gold. A silver price facing a slight decline, and current price $23 per ounce. Copper gaining slightly this morning, and steel price downward by 5 points. No significant difference for iron ore and lithium. The agricultural markets. The price of soybeans is upward by 3.5 points, 0.26% appreciation, $1,343 per bushel. Wheat price equally upward but not significantly much, 0.67 points, a 0.12% appreciation, $551 per bushel. Palm oil price upward by 3 points this morning, 39,300 or 3,000 rather 934 Malaysian ringgit per ton. Now to the foreign exchange market. Looking at the dollar index. The dollar index weakened to around 103.6 today, hovering at its lowest level in 11 weeks as cooling U.S. inflation reinforced bets that the Federal Reserve has reached the end of its tightening cycle, while traders turned their focus to potential interest rate cuts next year. The central bank is widely expected to keep rates unchanged again in December, while markets see a 30% chance that the Fed could begin lowering rates as early as March 2024. The dollar weakened across the board, with the most pronounced selling and its activity versus the anti-Putian, or rather the anti-Putian currencies and the yuan. Let's talk about the euro against the US dollar, the price level. Afterwards, we'll look at Naira's perspective in the market. The euro against the US dollar. The euro against the US dollar's price level is at 1.09 points, gaining slightly, 0.19% appreciation. The pounds against the US dollar at 1.24 point mark, gaining 0.23 percentage points. And the state of the Naira in the market. The price of the naira, again, euro US dollar against the naira, it's been quite different in the market. 839 naira equaling $1, and the euro against the naira, 898 naira equaling a euro. An upward trajectory of 1.87 points gain for the euro, and the pound gaining 1.38 points over the naira. Moving to the paro market, where the prices at the paro market are this morning: 1,136 naira equals $1. The buying rates and selling rates 1,127 naira. A pound and naira, 1,403 naira equals £1, and 1,386 naira to the pound at the selling rate. The euro to naira, 1,208 naira equal €1 at the buying rate, and selling rates 1,185 naira. The cryptocurrency market, the price of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is upward this morning by 206 points. Market is moving quite fast. A 0.56% appreciation. $37,226 is the price of Bitcoin. Ether upward by 54.2038 US the price of Ethereum. 3.9 point upward movement for Binance. $247 is the price. And quickly to the equity markets, beginning with the Asian stock. As the market comes off the October lows, relative strength and the momentum appears to favor big techs once again, with the Nasdaq 100 in a stronger position than other major indexes. The big question is if the big tech are poised to make a fresh run. Well, let's quickly move to the Asian stock market and see what the price level were in the morning market. Asian equity market rose today as risk sentiment improves, while investors continue to assess the economic and interest rate outlook globally. According to reports, investors now look ahead to preliminary manufacturing and services PMI figures, as well as inflation data in major Asia-Pacific economies this week for further guidance. Shares in Australia, South Korea, Hong Kong, and mainland China advance. Meanwhile, Japan Nikkei 225 index hit a fresh 33-year high early today before reversing those gains. Quickly, let's look at the Nigerian stock market and what the price level are for the stock market in the last 7 days. Over the last 7 days, the market has remained at flats, although notably, the energy sector gained 5.9% that time. Meanwhile, the market is actually up 68% over the past year. As for the next few years, earnings are expected to grow by 23% in the Nigerian stock market per annum, according to analysis. Which sectors have driven the changes within the Nigerian market? Let's look at the sectors quickly as we set to close. Well, there have been increase within the sectors in the market. Energy sector gaining the most, 5.93% in the last 7 days, and the tech losing the most. And the top gainers and the bottom losers, MTN leading the pack for the gainers in the last 7 days, gaining 115 naira in the market, 2.4%. At the top losers, Boasemen losing the most, losing 101.6 billion naira in the last 7 days. Here we draw the curtain on today's edition of Business 360. Thank you for being a part of it. My name is Blyden Ukem.